This is Glambition Radio, episode number 248 with Kari Warberg Block, founder and CEO of EarthKind.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Welcome to Glambition Radio. I am your host, Allie Brown. I'm an entrepreneur, mentor, investor, and founder of The Trust, the modern premier network for 7- and 8-figure women leaders. I love thinking big, doing different, and exploring ideas that disrupt the status quo, especially when it comes to women, because we are creating the new models for leadership, business success, making money, and changing the world. And hey, we're doing it with style. So let's go. Kari Warberg Block had a farm, and on that farm, there was a mouse, or actually a lot of mice, and they caused so much trouble in their barn, in the tractors themselves, averaging $1,300 per tractor, that she began to obviously look into ways to keep these critters out. And all she found were things that would kill them or poison them and possibly hurt the other animals and pets that were around. And I'll let her tell the story today, but basically an observation she made that led to more research, and more research has developed into what today is EarthKind. It is her company that creates the most renowned natural pest repellents in the country. And that's all great enough. The products are fantastic. By the way, we use them here all over our property. We recommend them to all our friends. But I want you to pay attention to the stories that Kari shares in how she decided to go about this, not knowing why, but everything she came up against over and over and over, including the EPA telling her she couldn't put this on the market, a safe, natural, and effective product. It's just mind-boggling, like what she had to deal with. Because she pushed through, it opened up a whole new category, and opened up that category for people to follow her as well, and really point out and blaze this trail that not everything needs to poison the earth to be effective. You're going to love the story. You're going to love how she just went about it, not knowing how, but step by step, got it done. And I'm proud to call Kari a friend. We've known each other for several years now. It's been amazing to see the evolution of her product. But I think even more fascinating to me is the leader and the woman that she has become. So this is going to be a great interview today. Quick reminder that our show today is sponsored by The Trust. We are the new network for 7- and 8-figure women entrepreneurs. If you or another female leader you know is craving more powerful connections, more elevated conversation, and a modern platform for connecting with other high-performing women globally, visit jointhetrust.org. We are hosting an event in Miami. I think we're about 3 weeks out. And I'm so excited that Kara Golden, founder and CEO of Hintwater, is our special guest advisor. I just had also Sarah Fry of Fry Farms, who you remember I interviewed several months ago. She has the big pumpkin farms and watermelon farms all around the country. I did a live with her Monday earlier this week, and she said, hey, I'm going to be in Florida. I'd love to come by. And so I think this is going to turn into a fantastic event with a few surprises. So this is kind of like Ag Week for me. We had Sarah Fry on Monday on my live show, which you could find on YouTube. And then we have Kari Warberg Block on this show. And then I have a new client in the ag industry. So it's, I don't know, is this trying to tell me something? Should I get into farming? It sounds kind of fun. I like it. 2 quick reviews I want to share that my team pulled for me from Apple Podcasts. One is from Dubai, which is really cool. Gemma writes, valuable, relatable, and perfect for female entrepreneurs. There are days when it can feel overwhelming, and listening to Allie's podcast is often exactly what I need to fire me back up and inspire me to keep going. Allie herself offers valuable solo episodes, and her guests always have stories worth listening to. I learn and grow as a female entrepreneur by listening. Gemma. Thank you, Gemma. And the next one is Lise Hodge from Australia. Fun, inspiring, and professional. I absolutely love this podcast. Allie's motivating topics combined with the amazing conversations with featured guests make this podcast an essential listen for women entrepreneurs wanting to create their dream business. Thank you, Allie. And we so appreciate it. I so appreciate it when you take a minute to leave us those reviews, especially in Apple Podcasts. It seems to really affect how many people are discovering the show and a more intelligent conversation for women entrepreneurs. We have a fun name, but man, we have some deep conversations, and today is going to be one of those. So get ready for a wonderful deep dive with Kari Warberg Block. Kari, where are you today?
I am in Mooresville, North Carolina.
Wow. Wait, now are you living there now?
Yes, I'm living here now. I haven't been back to North Dakota in like months, I'm sad to say.
Oh, wow. Is it beautiful there?
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It's a little cold, about 30 degrees today. So not near the blizzard that's happening in North Dakota right now.
Yeah, you're a hardy farm girl, though. You're like built for all seasons.
Yeah, I am. Cross-country ski, out with the horses, cowboy hats, boots, all of it.
Yeah. It's so good to talk to you. And I got your copy of the book that you sent me, and it's beautiful. And I can't wait to well, you know, I think I may just jump there and then we'll kind of go backwards a bit. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So the book's called Gathering Around the Table, a story of purpose-driven change through business. And I've known you now since 2012, I think, earlier than that.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We met through the EY Winning Women, which is fantastic network. And then, you know, the more I got to know you, you know, if you're, those of you listening, if you're a member of some things, you know, you get together maybe once, twice a year, and you get to spend time with people and know them a little bit more each time, and then a little bit more. And then, you know, I'd see you at a meal, or then we sit together on a bus ride to something. And then you just get to know a little bit more about these women. And Kari, I just want to share with all of you, has so many stories to tell that I bet it was hard to know which ones to put in the book. Like, how did you even approach that? What would the book be about? Or did you know right away?
I knew I needed to write a book. People have been telling me for years to write a book. And I sensed that the economy needed more entrepreneurs in it. And I was speaking at colleges all over the country, actually. And I'd go in and I'd speak to classes with entrepreneurs. And the kids would line up afterwards and they'd say, "Oh my gosh, that story you told me, I'm like, I know my major. This is what I'm going to do." And I'd stay in touch with them. So I started keeping notes of all the stories that those 18 to 22-year-olds wanted to hear, the questions that they asked, the things that inspired them. And I realized I needed to write the book that I needed when I was 18 and I started my first business. I've started 7 or 8 businesses so far, Allie. This is the first one really that's scaled and making a global impact. So that's really where I started. And I started the book with the introduction. I started it, I don't know how many times, until finally just the words started pouring. And it was about my experience being 5 years old. And I saw this commercial with a girl in shampoo. And I'm like, that girl is so pretty. I want to be that girl. I want to get that shampoo. And I didn't feel pretty like the girl. And then I got the shampoo after driving my parents nuts, begging them to get it for me. And then the shampoo gave me a rash. It burned my eyes. And I was like, I felt, ripped off. And that really stayed with me. And in my business today, it's really been a driving force. And I think our children, and we all have a tendency to feel that way. We see ourselves through others. And I wanted to be a positive role model for what was possible.
The book's very personal. Did you see that coming? Did you know that it would have a lot of personal stories along with the business lessons?
No, I didn't. My manuscript was accepted. I had a full manuscript done with a little bit of each chapter. And I went to several publishers. They all said, yes, I want to run with the story. And originally it started out, a mouse built this house. And it was all about kind of a traditional business. This is how you do business. This is, the direction, the steps you need to take, that type of thing. And as I started getting into the story, I realized it was like I had my angel sitting right there saying, stop worrying about the outcome. Don't make this a business book. Just make this from your heart. Tell the stories, tell the things that people really want to hear. And then it formed itself into a book about how to make decisions, which ironically is the questions I get asked most from entrepreneurs or prospective entrepreneurs. How do I know where to turn? What do I know how do I know what to do next? How do I, and really the stories that resonated most were those things that you internalize, because those answers come from within. But all the business books out there, not all of them, but they're like, you do this. And so it turned out being the book that I think I would have wanted at 18.
Yeah. Well, you're an interesting one because you never were about the how-to. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you ever set out to do anything you knew how to do. Maybe that didn't sound right.
No, you're right.
but you were a pioneer. I mean, everything you did, from the idea at EarthKind to, some of the other things you're mentioning in the book, it was all, correct me if I'm wrong, but you never waited for the answer or found out how to do something. You would go try. You would say, you know what, I'm going to figure this out, or I'll find the right person, or I'm going to trust the path. Is that what the lesson is really about?
Yeah, absolutely. So many of us are at a crossroads right now. It's almost like this transformation happening. And the only way you can really do this is to go within and then observe what's around you and wait for those answers. And I know in my life, they've always come when you set your eye on something. And I'm a visionary, so I have no clue. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to make the earth a kinder place. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to get rid of all the pesticides on the planet. Kind of a big thing, right? Where do you even start? So I thought, okay, well, where do I start? In my business, I started with the most toxic pesticides to have in a home. And it's made a dent all these years later through policy and through not knowing how to do anything. And it was all about gathering the right people around the table, which is how this book became Gathering Around the Table, because you really don't need to know anything to make something happen, but you have to be able to figure out, it's almost like a chemistry experience for me, right? I was like, all these people have something to bring, and the power is really in the questions and getting people together to have a shared vision and say, I really want to do this. And it really helped to have those people in my court that believed that, hey, she may be crazy, but, crazier things have happened. And no one ever expected the product I had to go through an EPA registration. In fact, I was told not to do it because it was absolutely impossible. Now here we are all these years later, and the market's changed.
Yeah.
Procter & Gamble came in with a natural pest spray. I would have never thought that would happen in a million years.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's share with the listeners absolutely how EarthKind started. And by the way, if you're listening, and I don't even know if you can go back and find the episode, it was in 2014. We'll put a link to it in the show notes, was my interview with Kari, but it was like 6 years ago. But, I really want you to go into that because there was so much to this that there's so many parts of this story. There's what you stood for. There's what you believed in. There was the faith you had in yourself. There was the faith you had that people will want this once they know it's available. And then you went up against some big entities that you realized in the end were going to be a battle. So would you mind going, through that whole story?
I'll try.
Yeah. There's so much there, but
I was like, how did Allie get this out of me? I've never shared this publicly before because it's kind of a big thing. So I had a mouse problem on our farm. Mice were getting into our tractors and trucks, making a mess, chewing wires, costing money. We didn't have money to fix the stuff. There really wasn't anything available except a poison, a trap, ultrasonic things, which I couldn't plug anything in our tractors and trucks and combines. And so I thought there has to be a way to get rid of these mice without killing them.
And let me just interject for the non-farm people, because I learned this from you. So rodents can cause a lot of damage in machinery, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like you wouldn't think that. I would never think that. Oh, this cute little mouse, but they get in there and what do? They chew up the wires?
Yeah, so they chew up the wires, and the average cost when a mouse gets in, at minimum, you're talking $1,300.
Yeah,
to get it fixed.
And they're not so cute anymore.
No. It's been proven that about 8% of all household fires are caused by rodents chewing on wires. Huh. So they can get in, they get between the walls. There's 35 known diseases they cause. They're nothing to mess with. You want to keep them out. So taking a natural product like I invented and to get the highest level of certification, because rodents are a public health risk pest, was pretty much like this is impossible, right? The only rat is a dead rat, is what people were thinking. But I'm thinking, yeah, but what about my kids? What about the wildlife? What about the 10,000 dogs a year that die eating this? And not to mention the hawks and the eagles and all of that. So I just walked around and looked and observed and said, what could I do that would really solve this problem? And I noticed that the trees, like the fir trees, when the bark was eaten off, then the tree would die. And I was just kind of simple deduction going, that's interesting. How come these trees aren't getting eaten? And then I thought maybe it's in the bark. Maybe the trees make their own pesticide to protect them. And lo and behold, that became a scientific discovery. So I was awarded then a patent, and I figured out how to make a process out of it with our state university, North Dakota State University. Figured out how to turn it into a product and get it onto the market. So it was all one step at a time. That probably took 8 years, but when I did get it to the market, this is the story you're really asking for, Allie. I brought my product to market. We had a local news coverage come in. 30,000 people probably heard about our product. The next day, it's like 20 below, there was 2 blocks of people waiting to purchase my product. So it was incredible. There's a market. I was so excited about it. Well, the second day, an inspector walked in. He was with the EPA, and he said, "Did you know it's illegal to sell this product without a federal license?" And I said, "You're kidding me. What's illegal about this?" And he said, "Well,
because you made this with stuff from like your farm, right?"
Absolutely. It was natural ingredients. And I'm like, how can this be illegal? And he said, well, it is. If you're going to do anything to repel a pest, you need to get it federal EPA registered. So I met with them. They said, it's probably going to cost you $2 million. And it's never been done before because you can't take something natural and get it registered. That's like a tincture to get FDA registered. It's impossible to do. And I asked them the question, right? I changed the context and thought, well, nothing's impossible. Why can't I? And then I started asking questions. Well, who could I get to help me with this? And eventually we got it all the way to the EPA. I applied for grants, did as much as I could on my own, because back in this time, we had no money. I think we were making about $18,000 a year. We were living on that. Good thing I had a big garden. So lo and behold, get it all the way to the EPA. And they say, no, we're not going to do this. Not going to happen.
Like they wouldn't even consider it?
Wouldn't even consider it. It had been rejected 2 or 3 times. My state senator got me a meeting. I went down there and I had my whole case and said, okay, well, we have scientifically, everything is proven. There's no reason that this can't move forward. And then I realized what I was up against, because it was like the room went dark. And there's this lady sitting across from me, and I looked around and there was like black birds flying all over, and she came alive. The madder I got, the more alive she came. And I was like, oh, this is like a battle of principalities. It was absolutely surreal. I was like transported into a different reality, in a different dimension.
I just love this. I love this because you literally, that's when you start believing, oh, wow, there's like a dark side there, right? Like that's what you felt like. There's someone trying to keep this good thing from getting out there. It may have not been her particular, but it was like that energy of it, right? That dark energy.
Absolutely. And I went back to my hotel room and I cried, and I thought, I just cried, and I picked myself back up and said, okay, even if this is the last thing you do in life, you have to make this happen, because this needs to change. And I didn't know how all of this could happen, but by the grace of God, we got the EPA registration and things started to change. And within about 5 or 6 years, then EPA was able to ban the 8 most toxic rodenticides on the market, because now there was an available, affordable option that pretty much anybody could afford. And we had national distribution by that time.
Wait. So just you are bringing your product to market. You didn't go tell them to not use those or fight them, right? But now they couldn't justify
That's right.
using them because of you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. There's a quote you have in the book, and then I want to, I'm not trying to tell your story for you, but I think I could tell it better. I'm just kidding. I'm in your book, and I put a big sticky. It's funny because I was sitting with the kids last night, and we all do some reading at night, and I was going through your book, and I put a big sticky on this page, and Jordan said, why are you putting a sticky there? And I said, because this story is really good. There's a quote there, and I'll read it. And it was, you were talking with someone who's going to help you battle this. And he asked you, how far are you willing to go? And you said the answer came to you without hesitation, until I can't go anymore. And that's a big deal at that time, because you were just saying, I'm gonna take this as far as I can take it. Yeah, I just that said it all to me. That was the feeling, like when you realize most people would not do what you did, Kari. I just don't know if you take that in. Like if someone said this is going to cost $2 million and this is going to take this and this is going to take that, and you're going to have people trying to shut you down, and then you're seeing black birds. Like I would have been out of there. Like I would have been like, oh my God, like this, I don't know what's going on here, but maybe I shouldn't be here. But you just, did you know that you were going to make a big change, or you just felt like this is right and I have to do this because this is the right thing? What was it?
It was definitely based on principles. And I knew I had a near-death experience in 95, and I was gone for about 3 minutes. And when I came back, I didn't have the angelic moment or anything like that. But I laid there on my back for quite a lot of months thinking, okay, why am I here? And really the fear went away at that point, because I thought, I looked at life very different. And I thought, life is really precious, and it isn't about things. Really, it's about experiences, and it's about making a difference. And I really started living. I thought I was living from my soul and my purpose before that point, because I was a good person and doing everything. But I really had never looked deep inside and asked that question, what is that one thing that I'm here to do? I think it changes for people. For me, it was I have to get this product invented because people want a safer solution. It really started that simple. But then when I realized there was forces that would hold all innovation off the market, it's like, well, okay, I kind of got to confront that one too. And then I got into the retail and realized, hey, there's really only 3 brands that pretty much control this space. How do I do this and make this available? And in pest control was really the last category to be innovated.
Yeah.
Exactly. And now with the book, I'm just raising the bar even higher and saying, okay, how can I gather a bunch of people together in different sectors, right, of the economy and education for one. I know you're passionate about education, and now I've seen what's happened with COVID, and I see the children are in trouble. There's kids that are really in trouble right now with the way things are. And I saw the effect of nature and eco-education in particular on children. And I thought, okay, that's our way in. So my company is sponsoring, it's called Year of the Monarch. And it's an award for teachers called Harmony Hero. And it's telling the story all year long. We'll tell a story every month of a Harmony Hero and the impact that it has on children. And it's startling. It's like, well, it's amazing. It's just amazing what happens to kids when they get involved in ecoeducation. Their grades come up. They observe things in a way that changes their perception of how they fit into the world around them. They become active in the community. They're not relying on social media to tell them who they are and how they should believe. And they just, all of a sudden, it's like their eyes open and they're transformed. And that was so much what this book is about, too, is how do we get people together in new ways and really change or shift the context, right?
Yeah.
And name the debate, whatever it is. Okay, is it how to make our kids happier and healthier? And it's very exciting but challenging. And to be honest, Allie, it's like I don't know where it's going to go. Just like before, I didn't know. I had a plan and a vision of, hey, I want to get poisons off the market, especially where they're not needed.
Mm-hmm.
And there's got to be a way to do that, right? Well, it's a product. And how do you get the product out? And just taking that one step at a time and believing that I can do it.
We'll put a link to the Year of the Monarch in the show notes. Does it have a website?
Yeah, it's right on the EarthKind website under
Okay.
Hero.
Okay, great. We'll check that out. Can you walk everyone through kind of the evolution of your business once you got approved? And then we have a lot of women listening who have businesses and would be interested in knowing, how did you go take that into stores, and how did you become, kind of a brand name in this new category that you created?
So, long story short, one foot at a time. I'm a big advocate when an entrepreneur brings a new product out. In my case, I was an inventor. And then it was a new category, a new way of dealing with a problem nobody had before. So dynamics are a lot different doing that than if you're bringing a challenger product in, right? Something that's better, faster, cheaper. So education became a big part of what we did. And so I'm a huge advocate of sampling. And nowadays there's sampling programs out there to get your product out and get customer ratings on it. But that's essentially what I did way back when, is I went around and I gave samples of my product to the implement dealers. And implement dealers, they sell John Deere tractors and combines.
Thank you. You got to educate us at the non-ag ladies here.
And our product is a John Deere part. It's available across the nation. It's standard. Because people wouldn't think of buying a tractor and then not having a product to protect that investment. So I took the samples out and I said, try this, put it in your rattiest thing you've got, give it a shot, because this was a solution-based product. It's not something that made you younger or thinner or anything like that. So It's like, well, they're going to have to see it and try it.
Right.
And that first year, I think we had about 30,000 in revenues by the end of the year by doing that. And here's the thing, even yet today, according to SBA, most small businesses don't make it past that 30,000 a year in revenues.
Yeah.
And we just started climbing after that. And then it was the decision, do I want to do this one-to-one or one-to-many? So I needed a distributor to do it. So the decisions really were value-based off what I wanted to accomplish out of the business. And there's so many decisions that entrepreneurs need to make, because like, what point do you want to, it's scary. What point are you going to make that jump to the next level? Because I hit a ceiling at about $1 million, and I realized I needed to work on my leadership, because it's like the whole game changed. And I hit another ceiling at 5 million, another ceiling at 10 million. And like, wow, there has to be this, like what you do. It's so important to get a group together that focuses on the questions that you really need to be asking yourself. And the problem is, when your business grows, the group gets smaller and smaller of people that have went through things like that and have made decisions like that. That's why I love so much what you're doing, Allie, in being that champion, because we need it.
Thank you. I know you have a lot of these stories in the book, but I'd love to know, for you personally, what was your biggest leadership lesson in growing the business and who you've become?
There's been quite a few lessons. I think probably the most painful lesson is that I've had to learn is how to truly connect. Because what got me to where I am was being a good scientist, right? Being a good engineer. And all of those things I needed to build our systems and build our processes. When it came time to start building my team, I really struggled, and I needed to change up my coach, because it was, when you're scaling, you're building ahead of what you're doing and executing ahead of the growth curve. And it's really a whole different type of talent. But I realized all I really needed to do was do the same things I did in the beginning. But for some reason, maybe I'd read too many books. I don't know. And I was like, well, I'm supposed to be formal, and I'm supposed to do all these things.
Yeah.
And I got a great coach with John Maxwell Group, and I really pulled it back, and I just said, okay, observe and listen to people like you do to nature. And the magic will come out. And so, but it's a new habit to learn. And it's great. We surveyed in our company after COVID, probably 3 or 4 months in, and we brought somebody in, and it was really, really scary for us, because everything just shut off. It was like, it just shut off. Okay, got to come up with a plan. We got to see where we're going, create a different cadence. Well, we came out of it good, and probably little over 30% up year over year after missing a couple key months. My team was incredible, just brings tears to my eyes. So fantastic. And when surveyed, they said they had faith in me as a leader, and they had faith in themselves that the way would present itself. And it's kind of, it was interesting, because I really didn't realize that I was articulating that, but just being who I am and being really honest with myself and saying, this sucks. I have no clue how we're going to come out of this, but I know if we do this and this and this, we have a much better chance of coming through this. What do you think? And I got such good ideas from them. We started innovating, and it's amazing to see what's happened from that coaching. So important.
I love that. Yeah, often it's funny coming back to, it's a lot of the human connectedness, right? And the human skills and being real that makes the biggest difference. And then you pointed out something special too, like you're going to go through different evolutions in your business, and that's when you're going to be in need of different types of advisory. right? As you grow your business, and you'll know, like, you'll be like, you know what, this zone over here is where I need some help right now. And then maybe in a few years, you'll be like, okay, now I need to work on this. And you've been very astute in picking that up and knowing when you need help. That's the whole premise of gathering around the table, right? It's gathering the right people around you, and that will change, correct?
Absolutely. And you've known me for a lot of years, Allie. I'm more on the introverted side, and sometimes you have to drag it out of me, you know. But the thing of it is it changes when you change. So you have to first change yourself for your view on the world to change.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. So, Kari, tell everybody, before I ask my final question, tell everybody where to get your products and, again, where they can get the book, Gathering Around the Table.
So our products can be found on our website, EarthKind.com. You can find them at all Target stores across the nation, all Lowe's.
Oh, you're in Target now?
Yes.
I didn't think I knew that.
Yes. You got to go look at the amazing lawn and garden sets. They've made it a destination area, and I'm so excited that we're part of it. It's very, very cool. All kinds of stuff for the kids. It's very, very neat.
Okay. So, sorry, I got excited at Target. Okay. And where else?
You can find them at Container stores. You can find them at all Ace stores across the country. You can even find them at John Deere for any farmers listening, farm and home stores.
Mm-hmm. And I have a quick story before you share about the book where that is. When we moved in this house, we found this organic pest service. They'll come. And I was out in the garage and I smelled something really nice. And I looked down and they are using all your sachets. So, and I had this fangirl moment that I grabbed the guy in the driveway. I'm like, I know her. I know the woman who makes these. And he's still going to be like, lady, I really don't give a crap, you know, but I'm like, but I know her, Kari Warberg Block, she invented these. They're like, that's great. Okay. But I was just, that's fun when you see a friend's product being used, and especially like someone that you're paying to do the service, and it just felt really good. And they do smell great. And just like many of your customers, I'm sure, like, you know, I'm like, I don't need to kill or poison anything. I just don't want it in my house. Right. So how do we just keep these critters out? That's my goal. Probably like a lot of people out there.
Absolutely, because just the simple act of killing something creates disharmony, and it can create its own little negative vibe and stress and things we don't even realize. We're taking a positive action, living in harmony with nature is so healthy. Creates joy, it removes stress, and our product totally gets rid of the pests. In fact, it meets professional levels of efficacy, so we sell it in professional channels as well. But yet it's with essential oils and plants, and we did all the science, so it's so easy.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to use the other junk around your family or pets or any of that. So thank you for sharing where we can find this. And then where can we get the book? When should we look for that to come out?
So this is actually my first book interview. So thank you, Allie. Excited to be here with you. The book can be pre-purchased on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple. You can find a link through my website, KariWarbergBlock.com. We start pre-sale and we kick off live and start shipping March 24th on International Achievers Day.
I love it. But they can pre-order now,
yes,
right?
You can pre-order now.
Perfect. Okay, and we want to do that because I know that helps. That helps. So, Kari, to wrap up, can you give 3 great pieces of advice to all the women listening? And this can be pieces from the book. It can be who you've become. Just, you know, thinking of all the women listening around the world at many different levels of business, and some of them may even still want to start a business. You know, what do you feel right now you'd like to share with them?
Well, what's top of mind right now for me, the small groups are truly a unit of transformation. And a small group gathering, you can really, it's amazing what you can make happen. And second to that, large scale transformation truly happens through small groups. You look back at what I started, one person with one thought, one mouse running up my leg, how it's years later changed an industry. That all started because of small groups. And lastly, I think listening. When you get those groups, listen rather than advocate, defend, or provide answers. Just listen.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a third?
Yeah. For the gathering, if each gathering can become an example of the future you want to create, the questions will present and the conversations will flow.
I love that. Kari, so great to have you with us. I can't wait to see you again.
Yeah, it's been too long, Allie. Better than the last time we were together when I threw a great big box in the back seat of that sexy little car.
Just to clue you all in, this is the funniest story. So I haven't seen Kari in a long time. And, this was this year, right? So was it like spring or summer?
I think it was like January or February.
Oh, was it? Okay, before things got weird, right? And I don't get to go out a lot with the kids. So I'm like, I'm taking the Porsche, I'm going to like have dinner with Kari. And so I pull up, and then Kari comes in the restaurant carrying some giant, you're schlepping like you're a big trade show display.
Yes.
I realize you got dropped off. Right. And then later you're like, do you mind if I put this in your car? And we could not figure how to get this thing. And I would have totally brought the old Land Rover if I knew that we were going to be getting this giant box. And we ended up driving away. I think it wouldn't fit in the trunk of the Porsche. So we put it like sideways through the windows in the back seat.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I'm driving around with you, and there was like 3 feet of cardboard hanging out.
I know. And you're like, Kari, only you. I can't wait to tell Brett he's going to die.
And then we found your hotel. They're trying to pull this box out of my car. Happy to anytime. Just give me a warning next time when I'm going to be carting around your wares. That was awesome. Well, can't wait to see.
I think I even emailed you and said, hey, look at how much money I made from this showing this at the trade show.
Yeah. It looks great.
Thank you.
All right, honey. Take care. And everyone, make sure you go pick up the book, Gathering Around the Table. There's so many personal stories, just so much wisdom. I think that's what I really look for in the books I read today. It's not so much the how-to. I want to hear from the wisdom from the women who have, this ain't their first rodeo, and they know now what needs to happen, who they need to be. There is what they need to do, but it's so much more than that. And I think the book just captures that so beautifully. So Gathering Around the Table. Thanks, Kari.
Love you, Allie.
Love you too. Bye. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Glambition Radio. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you automatically get my new shows every week. Also, I'd love if you left us a review so more women like you can discover us. We're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Pandora, and other major platforms. And I'd love to hear from you personally. Come join the conversation on social. Instagram is my happy place lately, and that's Allie Brown Official, but you can find links to my other platforms at alliebrown.com. Glambition Radio is the elevated conversation for women leaders, and I'm honored you tuned in.